Hey, welcome! So, you curious about French? Well, you've come to the perfect place. We're going to break down the absolute basics, nouns and articles, and we're doing it with a little something extra for Punjabi speakers, because you might just have a secret advantage. Let's dive right in.
And you know what? We're going to start with some really good news. Or, as they say in Punjabi, chalo sab to pehla changi khabar naal shuru kariye. You might feel like you're starting from square one, but trust me, a lot of the foundation for French is already there, especially if you speak English.
No, seriously, believe it or not, you already know a bunch of French words. Thanks to history and culture, French has borrowed tons of words straight from English. Words like boss, weekend, manager, you'll hear them all the time over there. So see, you're not starting from zero. You've already got a built-in vocabulary. Okay, now that you're feeling a little more confident, let's get to the real heart of it, French nouns. I want you to think of them as having three main pillars. If you can get your head around these three simple ideas, the entire structure of the language is going to start clicking into place.
So what are these three pillars? It's simple. Every single noun in French has an article, a gender, and a number. All three. These aren't optional. They're like part of the noun's DNA. Let's break them down one by one.
All right, this is the big one. This is probably the biggest difference from English, so listen up. In French, a noun is never, ever by itself. It always, and I mean always, needs a little word in front of it. We call that word an article.
Here's exactly what I'm talking about. In English, we can just point and say cat. Easy. But in French, saying just chat is actually wrong. It's incomplete. You have to say le chat if you mean the cat, or un chat if you mean a cat. That little word out front is non-negotiable.
Now for pillar number 2, gender. Every single noun in French is either masculine or feminine. Now, this has nothing to do with the object itself. A table isn't inherently girly or manly. It's just a grammatical rule you have to learn for each word.
And here's the classic example to help you remember. The sun, le soleil, is masculine, and the moon, la lune, is feminine. See how the article changed? It went from la to la. That's because the article's whole job is to match the noun's gender. It gives you a clue. And our third and final pillar is number. This one's pretty easy because it's just like English. Nouns can be singular for one thing or plural for many things. So one chat becomes many les chats. And notice again that article changes right along with it to show that it's plural.
Okay, so we've hammered home how important these little articles are, right? They're the sidekicks to every noun, telling us its gender and number. So let's zoom in on them, because there are actually 3 different types you're going to need to know. Right, so let's break it down. The 3 types are indefinite, definite, and partitive. And don't worry, the names sound way more complicated than they actually are. The concepts themselves are super simple.
First up, we've got the indefinite articles. You use these when you're talking about something general, not a specific one. Think of it as the French way of saying a or an. And here's how it works. For a masculine noun, you'd say un oiseau, a bird. For a feminine noun, it's une loutre, an otter. Simple enough. And when you have more than one of something, you use des. So des papillons just means butterflies or some butterflies. It's the plural for both un and une.
Next up, the definite articles. And you guessed it, these are the opposite. You use these when you're talking about a specific thing that everyone knows about. It's your direct translation of the word the. You also use it for one-of-a-kind things like the sun, or for big ideas like life itself.
So if you're talking about the park down the street, it's le parc. For a huge concept like life, it's la vie. And for those specific cats we were talking about earlier, they're les chats. Using le, la, or les is like putting a finger and saying, that one right there.
And finally, our third type, the partitive articles. Now this one might feel a little new, but the idea is really intuitive. You use it when you're talking about an unknown amount of something, like a piece of a bigger whole. It's the sum we use for stuff you can't really count, like some water or some sand. For example, you wouldn't ask for a cheese, right? You'd ask for some cheese. In French, that's du fromage. Same idea for some flour, de la farine. This article is just perfect when you're talking about having a portion of something bigger.
And that's it. You just learned the 3 foundational rules for every French noun and the 3 types of articles that they can't live without. That is a massive first step. You've literally just built the foundation that the rest of the entire language sits on.
I'm not kidding. You've basically just read the first page of the French grammar rulebook. You get this, and everything else starts to make sense. So the only question left is, hunt to see French grammar the pella panda parlia hai, ugly ki si koge. You've read the first page of French grammar. So, what will you learn next?